You know how to spot the red flags in people quickly. They envy how smart you are. They can't get over on you. You see, you know how to spot the red flags in toxic relationships, friendships, family situations, coworkers, managers. You know how to spot the red flags in those situations and you act accordingly. Long gone are the days where you just overlook toxicity at your expense. You see, knowing how to recognize the red flags in friendships, in relationships, in job situations, in families, not only does that protect you as a woman, it also spares you very awkward and uncomfortable situations with people you could really care less about. So, knowing how to spot the red flags, that is something that every woman should know, especially when it comes to number one, relationships. Spotting red flags in relationships for women, it's important because you don't want to waste half of your life, half of your time, and get down the road and realize you're with your biggest enemy. You're with your biggest op. You're with your biggest hater. See, spotting the red flags of jealousy, envy, and just toxic behavior in relationships is something you want to look for in the very beginning. You want to see, number one, is that man enthused about you? Does he like you? Does he get overjoyed when you do something or accomplish something? Or is he quiet and constantly trying to humble you? That is a red flag of jealousy and envy when during the impressing phase, a man is automatically trying to humble you. So number one, if a man is trying to humble you and not celebrating you in the beginning, more than likely he will be your biggest hater later on. And you know this and you recognize it. That is a major red flag, especially earlier on in relationships. I'm not saying that somebody has to be jumping up and down, blowing horns and confetti because you did something, but there should be a healthy sense of enthusiasm because, they said they like you, they said they care about you, they said they love you. And if they find it hard to do that, that might not be your person. That's a red flag. But you know how to spot the red flags in relationships. If somebody is easily angered or taking their frustration out on you constantly. See, as a woman, as a person in general, but I speak to women, we don't have time to be somebody's hurting posts, for lack of another word, because I'm watching the monetization on YouTube. I got to watch my words. But we don't want to be somebody's, post for their aggression, for their anger, for their bitterness. The red flags of jealousy and envy in relationships normally happen in the beginning, but they can manifest later on, especially as you grow as a woman. A lot of times, if that man is not growing with you, if he is not content with his own life, he is going to try to stop you every step of the way. Every time you try to have movement in your life, he's going to be trying to sabotage you with some kind of discouraging words or actions. It's as if you accomplishing things suddenly becomes a threat to his manhood. So a red flag in a relationship is when somebody tries to sabotage you. A red flag, a sign of jealousy and envy in a relationship, you might be with your biggest op, is that the moment you keep trying to do something, try to accomplish something, they're trying to set you back. Now let's go on to jealousy and envy and the red flags in friendships, because that is a deep one. I think as far as relationships go, many women can tell if a man is a hater or jealous of them in the beginning, and they just dismiss him. So there's really not much to be said about that. You know how to spot the red flags in people quickly, especially when it comes to jealousy and envy in friendships or acquaintanceships. Anytime you're dealing with a person and you recognize that they have to humiliate you to get attention, that they have to make a joke at your expense, that's a red flag. That is a major red flag in a friendship. If somebody feels like the only way they can get some kind of laugh or attention, or they can seem like the popular one in the group, or pretty much just get attention, they have to do it at your expense, that is a red flag that that person is not your friend. They are a hater. They're a miserable person. They're pitiful, and they have to use you to get the attention that they want. Now, I can hear somebody saying it now. Well, do you think that maybe you're being a little bit too sensitive? You know, people joke, friends joke, you know, you do a little joking. Yes, friends joke back and forth, back and forth. So you take a little shot at me, I take a little pot shot at you. You know, we're joking on each other. There is no such thing as somebody just constantly dumping on you, humiliating you, and making you the clown in the situation. That is a major red flag that you're around an enemy territory. That is not a friendship. That is a humiliation ritual. They're preparing you and grooming you for humiliation. The last thing you want is to be the friend that's always the butt of the joke. As grown women, the older you get, the more serious you begin to take yourself. Not saying that you can't have fun, can't lighten up, don't know how to take a joke, give a joke. But let's be real. There are some people, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile at your expense. So you know how to recognize the red flags in friendships. And the first one being, they got to humiliate you in order to get attention. You have to be the butt of the joke in order for them to seem interesting. That is not a friendship. That is preparation for humiliation rituals. And you might as well go ahead and tip out. Another major red flag in relationships or in friendships between women, that jealousy and that envy creeps in, is when you get into a relationship or a man takes interest in you, and suddenly that woman, that lady, starts treating you differently. She starts trying to convince you of all the reasons why your relationship is not going to work, why he doesn't really like you, why he's going to cheat on you, why this just might not be the guy for you. There's nothing worse than a hating behind female who doesn't have a man or a situation of her own, so she has to inflict or project what she perceives is going to happen to you simply because it's not her. And I'm not saying a woman who is genuinely your friend and she sees the red flags in a relationship or in a guy or in a friendship you might have and she's trying to look out for you. I'm talking about a woman who is jealous and envious anytime you get into a relationship or a man shows you any kind of attention. She is looking for ways to make you look silly or trying to talk you out of a good thing. That, in my opinion, is a woman who is jealous that she's not getting the attention that you're getting. So a major red flag in a friendship is that anytime a man shows you any kind of attention, she has to interfere. And you have some women, they get so envious and jealous and triggered by their so-called friends getting attention that they actually interfere in the moment. A man can walk over to you and say, "You look beautiful. I love your hair. You know, I noticed you sitting over here. You know, I couldn't help but notice your smile." And she'll say something really tacky in the moment that, "Oh, girl, that was a good thing getting those veneers. It was good getting those braces." Just something really silly and childish and petty simply because you're getting the attention. You know what I mean? So a major red flag in a friendship is that every time, I'm not saying like a one-off situation where slip of the tongue, she just said something silly and just doing too much. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this so-called friend has a habit of interfering anytime you get attention from someone. She has to add in her 2 cents. And this is not just when men show you attention. This is just in general. You know, you could have a hating behind coworker, and anytime you get recognized on the job, they're interfering saying, "Didn't you get so-and-so to help you with that?" You know, you could get praised by your manager on doing a report or submitting something on time or before time or giving a speech, and they'll go in with their discrediting, saying, "Didn't you get somebody to help you with that?" Major red flag that that person cannot be trusted and that they're nosy and don't know how to mind their business. You know how to spot the red flags. And situations like that, especially in the workplace, it's like, what do? You're definitely not going to fight every battle, because as women, I truly believe that while there's a time and a place and, certain things have to be addressed, when you know the red flags of jealousy and envy in other people, in friendships, in relationships, toxic work environments or coworkers, family members, when you begin to recognize those red flags, you know how to spot them, you know the signs of jealousy and envy, you just remove yourself, ignore them, or deal with them accordingly. In the workplace, more times than not, it's best to professionally address certain situations or ignore them. A person who has to throw their 2 cents in on whether or not you got help from someone on a project that you're getting recognition on, you might want to address that, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that you got the praise and the recognition for it. So I would just leave it alone. If anything, that person is showing that they're jealous of the fact that you're getting recognized. They're showing how much of a jealous, envious person they are. And quiet is kept, for managers, for supervisors in the work environment, good managers, good supervisors, they don't like when other employees try to make other employees look bad when they're giving them praise. It says something about the character of that person adding their 2 cents. But I digress. So you know how to spot the red flags in friendships, in coworkers, and with the friendship piece, it's not just a matter of humiliation and, grooming you for humiliation rituals, hoping that you'll be okay being the butt of the jokes. They also want to make sure that you're able to do their dirty work and be their henchman just in case they get caught up in something. A major red flag in a relationship or in a friendship is when you're surrounded by people around women who expect for you to fall for them. What do I mean fall for them? See, you can recognize when somebody wants you to be the fall guy. They want you to be the intermediary between the gossip so that it can appear that you're the one talking about everybody because you know everything. It is one of the worst positions, I believe, to be in a friendship, to be that person that everybody goes to and said, what did she say about me? I know she told you this. I know she told you that. To me, that is a major red flag. I've talked about gossip on this channel a lot. I believe it's the lowest form of communication. I believe that the older you get as a woman, you should have more to talk about than just other people. I'm not saying that we all are not guilty of gossip, but a major red flag in a friendship is that women, people, they try to get you caught up in these situations that you did not ask for. And they will deliberately point you out to a person and say, well, go ask her because she was right there when I said it. I can't stand those kind of friendships where it's like the person is always in some kind of drama or mess, some kind of issues, and you want me to be a witness to everything messy that you're doing. That's a red flag in a friendship. Don't try to get me caught up. And this is why setting the president as a woman, just the way you carry yourself as a woman, if you carry yourself as the woman who is for peace, for being unbothered, you're less likely to attract those type of friendships. You will know the red flags of toxic friendships, of women who like to get caught up in drama and messiness, who's going to have you caught up and you just know the red flags, so you avoid them. But if you find yourself in it, I don't know what to tell you because I don't allow myself to get caught up in stuff like that. But you know the red flags, so you're not going to be caught up in anything like that. You also know the red flags in family. This can be one that can be a little bit awkward and intense and just awkward to think about because it's family. I want to be there for my family. I want to make sure that, I'm always supportive. A red flag in a family is when people expect for you to put down your convictions, your morals, and your standards in order to support them. When you're a child, you don't have much say over how you live your life. You kind of go along with the program. But as you get older, when you become an adult, when you become a grown woman, you start seeing all the red flags, all the messiness, certain parts of your family, certain people in your family. You know, if you have a wonderful family where everybody's perfect, God bless you. But if you've been through things and you start recognizing the red flags, you become less apt to be fake supportive, because that's what it is. You're not really supporting, you just feel obligated. When you start seeing the red flags, you start slowly backing away. You start seeing that, well, yeah, they were crying all the time because they were in the wrong. You know, it's hard to kind of get into that form of delusion that some of our family wants us to get into simply because they want you to be supportive. And when people don't respect your boundaries, that's a major red flag. When your family doesn't recognize that you're an individual, that you have your own beliefs, you have your own morals, you have your own standards, you have your own goals, and that some of those things may conflict with them, that doesn't mean that you love them any less. It just means you're not willing to bend in order to please them. Grown women understand that it's not always your job to just cave in to what somebody else wants you to do. Like, you're just as important as the next person. And the more you recognize that, the less you are to just bend to whatever, you know, unmoral or just toxic thing that family wants you to do. You know, sometimes it's a matter of just disrupting your peace. You know, it's not about support. It's not about love. It's about trying to take advantage of the fact that your family, to disrupt your peace, to overstep your boundaries, and to get you to a place where you really don't want to be. So that's a major red flag when you have family where they know what you stand for, they know what you believe, they know what you do and what you don't do, and yet they're always trying to get you to bend to do different things, even if it goes against your morality, even if it goes against your belief, even if it goes against what you stand for as a woman. So when it comes to the red flags in family and dealing with certain family members, while you may love and respect them people, you still have to love and respect yourself more. And the way I see it from a spiritual standpoint, you have to love and respect God enough that you're not willing to do something just crazy. I'm trying not to give any examples here because, you know, it's so many different things that family can have you caught up in. But I just know from personal experience and being a spiritual person and being a believer that my belief system have clashed with a few family members, and they expected for me to bend on things that I was not willing to bend on. And it didn't mean I didn't love them. It just meant these are my standards, just like you have yours. Sometimes people think respect only goes one way, you know, but you're good at spotting the red flags in people, in relationships, in friendships, in family, and you just don't deal with it. You don't allow people to cross your boundaries. You are not dealing with the things you don't want to deal with, even if people perceive that as you being selfish. Because that's another thing people will do when they want to be able to, you know, overstep your boundaries and you know the red flags. They want to say you're being selfish. Get used to that. Protecting your peace, protecting your spirit, that is never an empty feat, in my opinion. Okay? Like and subscribe to the channel and share this content. Hit the notification bell so that you're aware when I post a brand new video. If you watch this video until the very end, put the high heel emoji in the comment section. I absolutely love to see it. Take care.